I ain't sitting. My name's Dutch. I'm an addict.
Hey, guys.
And you know what? I am fucking nervous. Now, I've been clean since December 30th, 1972. And I have never spoken on step 6 and 7. Now, that is by design. Now, step 6 and 7 to me is what happened with me. I gotta before I get into it, I gotta tell you leading up to it. My first 8 years in Narcotics Anonymous, I didn't have a sponsor. Now, the reason that I didn't have a sponsor is that I thought that you had to have somebody with more time, right? You know, like the guy with the most time was right. And there was a couple people in East Coast that had more time than me, but I didn't like them. So I couldn't see going to them and being whatever a sponsor thing was. And it was to me, a sponsor represented authority. And I have always had a problem with authority. I'm the type of person, you tell me to sit, I'm going to stand. Dwayne just said, don't put that candy in your mouth, you're getting ready to eat. So I felt like saying, well, why didn't he tell me to stuff my whole mouth with candy and I wouldn't have put nothing in my mouth? But that's just, and that's just the way that, I am. So what happened with me with the steps? And I'm going to start with the steps because there's something before you get to 6 and 7. What happened with me was I couldn't go anymore. My car ran out of gas. I was spiritually dead. I didn't want to live, but I didn't want to use. And this was a direct result of the way that I had lived my life clean. Now, I got to say that I was abstinent. I wasn't recovering. And I always thought that they was the same. Like, if you was clean, you were recovering. And, I got a sponsor out in California, and I really just got a sponsor to get people off my back. Because there was a lot of people saying, well, who's your sponsor? And, anybody who doesn't have a sponsor knows what I'm talking about. You go through the whole thing of the group, God, it's none of your business, why do you want to know? I just didn't have a sponsor. So I was sponsoring a lot of people at this time, and my world was crumbling. And everybody got rid of me except for one person. And so I got a sponsor, and I came back to Philly, and I told people, now I got a sponsor, get off my case. And I didn't do nothing with this guy for a year. At least a year. And then my world crumbled more. And all I can tell you is if you do not live this program, if you do not try to work these steps, you will take a spiritual ass whooping that is far worse than you ever took in the street. Far worse. Now, I'm more grateful today than I am when I came in, just because I'm here. A person like me shouldn't be here. If you grew up and lived the way that I lived before coming to NA, and then many years after coming to NA, you should not be here. You people should not be listening to me. I'm telling you. Now, when I talk about step 6 and 7, the reason I avoided it, I have put shade on my whole existence for many years in Narcotics Anonymous. What happens, we come into the rooms, and I lived a double life for 12 years. I lived sharing clean, living dirty. I didn't just make up a topic, I lived it. I had no sponsor, so I really had nobody to answer to. I had more time than just about anybody else, so I always hung around people that had less time than me, so that they would say that I was right, no matter what I was doing. And we're good bullshitters, we'll come up with anything to justify whatever we're doing. Now, prior to this, I had no clue about life. I'm the type of guy, I like jail. I never had a phone bill in jail. I never had to pay the electric company in jail. Never ran out of toilet paper. Could always smoke. So I had all these things. So I was institutionalized when I came here. And I like that. I'm the type of person, I can't live in the street. I can't make it. I really can't. I I tried to like tell people like I was a super fly, that I was this and I was Mr. All that. Honestly, I couldn't live. I can't live in this tree. Even today. I'm clean 22 years, but I'll tell you what. Living ain't easy. Ain't easy. I don't know how people stay out of jail today. I just got off probation. 22 years clean. I've been in jail 8 times in recovery. So I got something to say about step 6 and 7. So now, let's go with what led up to it. All right? When I started working the steps with my sponsor, I was afraid of being judged because he told me that I had to write. Write what? I haven't written since high school. And I figured, like, I'm going to be judged. This guy's going to, like, take my inventory. This is all going to happen, right? So I wrote out the steps, step 1, and he said, write it again. Because I wrote what I thought sounded good. And I wrote it again. Then I wrote what I thought he wanted to hear. And he said, write it again. And I'm saying, like, this is kind of difficult because I don't see everybody else having to write it 3 times. And for me my sponsor living in California, it wasn't like a thing that I could just every day run into him. So anyhow, I was afraid of being exposed to where and who I really was and what I felt about certain things. Because I had always lived my life like a chameleon. Do you know what I mean? Whatever worked that got me by, I ran with. No matter what kind of situation I was in. And I would always rationalize and justify whatever behavior I had to compromise to get where I had to go. Well, now here I am in Narcotics Anonymous, and this guy just says, right, if you got to write, what does the first step mean to you? I don't know. I got 9 years clean now. I don't know. Do you know how, I'm going to tell you what, if you get some time in here, you will see that the longer you're clean, the harder it is to ask for help. So, and you got all these people with double digits, that go to meetings and don't raise their hand and ask for help anymore. Isn't that true, Anthony? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So it's not a thing, it's not a magical thing when you get 10 years clean. But what it is that it's what we're bred with in here. We look at people with time and we put unrealistic expectations on them and we deny them their humanity. I'm telling you, spend a fucking weekend with me and you'll never put somebody with time on a pedestal. Dino can tell you. Dino and me went cross country 3 times. Now, I'm not going to come up here and tell you everything about step 6 and 7. God damn it, my goal when I'm done here is not to be homeless. I'm not going to come up here at the expense of somebody else, dump my shit. That ain't what step 6 and 7 is. So if you think you're going to get all of my gory details, you got to get me off the podium, off the microphone, and out of some people's ears' reach. Right? And I will tell you everything, and I have no shame about doing it. Now, what happened with me after I got down with the steps is that the first step to me was, I looked at it as like it was just abstinent. The guy with the most clean time was right. That's wrong. We must abstain in order to recover. What's recovering? Recovery is active change. What's active change? How do you get change? Now, for me, I tried to change everything I don't know how many times. I'm going to change the way I do this. I'm so fucking powerless over change, but the disease that I got tells me that I can change. My biggest problem today with 22 years clean is thinking that I can still change. Me. I cannot do this program by myself. The program will cause the change. But in order for me to change, I need to get out of the way. I need to let you people in. I need to let you people love me. Because I'm the type of person that I'll give and give and give and give and give. But I'm not going to take nothing back because then I owe you. Now that's an old school thing where I grew up. And let me tell you something. You can talk all the fucking program you want. Once you lived a certain way for a long time, you just ain't going to come and drop your bags at the door. I'm left with that. 22 fucking years after I shot dope, I'm still left with it. So what am I going to do? How do you change? The steps will change you. All right, let's get into them, right? So the first step is we admit what? Our secrets. It ain't that we admit no fucking bout of drugs after you're here for a while. After you're here for a couple years, it ain't the drugs that take you out the door. Your defects take you out. Because you're in so much fucking denial, you can't see them. So then we go to step 2. Okay, what happens in step 2 after we admit our secrets, right? And we stop trying to manage and control everybody's life, including yourselves, right? What happens then? We're left with something, right? A void. What is that void? Oh my God, I'm insecure, I'm inadequate, I'm this, I'm feeling all this. I'm a man, I ain't supposed to feel like that. Fuck, I ain't supposed to cry, I ain't supposed to do this. How the fuck do you live? Nobody told me. I watched people. Most of my fucking life, learning how to live was by observation. After I came to NA2. Ain't nothing about taking advice from somebody. I tell you, fuck you. Tell me what? Go ahead, Judge, give me the fucking time. I don't give a fuck. I ain't got nothing going on in my life anyhow. Go ahead. So what? Besides, I like them guys. When they told me, Dutch, sit down, you want to play cards? I felt love. And I didn't even feel it in my own house. So figure that out. That's the deck that I was dealt. Now I played my hand. So I got into this thing with the steps because this lady told me, I guarantee you, she gave me a guarantee, that whatever question you have, the answer's in the steps. Well, I didn't know what questions to ask. So here I am, left, being a continuing failure in a spiritual dilemma, whose solution is spiritual in nature. Now, these are words that where I grew up, they wasn't talking about, right? Let's just, the vocabulary that is expressed here in Narcotics Anonymous, once you start to reach into these steps, is not the language that I grew up with. It ain't like, yo, motherfucker, who's holding where, can I cop, who's got the best shit, what I gotta do. That was all I needed to say, no matter what corner I went on. Now, my biggest thing was I couldn't get off. I was afraid to go. I never was a traveling addict because I was afraid I couldn't score. I never went anywhere because I was afraid. I had the fear of what might happen. Now, back then I had defects because I was living my life because I was thinking of what might happen. That's a defect. That's how I lived my life when I was using. I was full of defects. So then we come into this thing where now we got this void and we're starting to feel these things after we've admitted all this stuff. Because see, for some of us to come in here and admit, we feel like a punk, right? So what happens is, now you gotta what? Believe in what? You gotta believe in something. What? An addict needs, not, you know what they say, there's a program of suggestion? Well, fuck that. Fuck that. This is you better fucking well do it or your ass is gonna be back out in the street. Quicker than you can think, before you can say what happened, you'll be out there. Because I don't know how many people I've seen that told me they ain't never using again, wish they could be in this fucking meeting today. And that is a big problem in Narcotics Anonymous today. We can get people here. We're having a tough time keeping them. A lot of people with time are rolling. Now, there's something that's happening. There's a breakdown somewhere. I mean, I got my own opinions on it. I got my own theories on it because I've seen it before, during, and after. And that's all I got. But it's tough keeping people here. What happens? I think it's because they ain't real thorough with the steps. I think that, like how they talk about, they gloss over the steps. Well, I've glossed over the fucking steps. I'm a dope fiend. I want the most for the least. This is me. Now check me out. You know them guys with them washboard stomachs? You know them motherfuckers like this? They got this and this and this and this, and they got all kinds of like chiseled shit, right? Right? Now, I don't want to go to no health spa and do it. I just want to walk by and look like that. Just let me walk by. Let me walk by that bad boy. Let me chisel motherfucker. Fuck. Right? Right? That's me. In recovery, I want the most for the least. How the fuck did I change? I grew my whole life like that. You ain't gonna come to fucking here and roll that over. If you're really full of shit if you think that. One of the things about our defects is we gotta accept them. How do you accept a defect when you're full of shame, guilt, remorse? I did that? Oh, shit. Look. One of the biggest problem I've always said since day one in Narcotics Anonymous is that we are not given the room to move. We are not given the room to change. You got one motherfucker somewhere judging you, passing on misinformation because they may not like something somewhere or you. Gossip kills people. Gossip will kill you. You ever be like real lonely and you want to go up and roll up and talk to somebody? Or even that simple loving hug. And you go there and all of a sudden they got their backs turned before you're even there. What the fuck's up with that? Simple loving hug. Recovery is a contact process. Well, if you can't get it, you can't get it. Because people will judge you. And in Narcotics Anonymous, you are fucking guilty till proven innocent. Take that to the bank. It ain't like we have a justice system in here. There ain't no fucking justice here. We're sick fucking whack jobs. Condemnation without investigation is the game here. There is no fucking justice here. Come on, you earn your stripes. Ain't nobody gonna give you shit here. Now, back to the steps. Right? That's what this topic's on, right? All right. So what happens? We need to believe in something. Anything. Because we come in here with a belief system that has been broken and shattered. And we have nothing that we believe in. We need to believe in something. Okay, the literature. Somebody else. A group. A convention. Anything that touches Narcotics Anonymous. We need to believe in. Anything. Because we're not able to accept the whole package in step 2. But we're able to come in and we need to believe in something. All right, so what happens? We come to believe it. That's a process. All right, then we make this decision. We tap into the greatest source of strength and courage. I didn't say that. That's in It Works How and Why. We made a decision. And most times before we make that decision, we make a decision not to make a decision because we're so fucking confused we can't make a decision. That's a decision. That's a process. So before we can get to step 6 and 7, we need to understand that we choose to stay confused before we make a decision. Because you need God in your life before you get to step 6 and 7. If you ain't going to make that decision, you ain't got God in your life. So you don't have the practice from step 3 to take into you with step 6. So if you think that you can say, fuck God, show me God, before you get to step 6 and 7, you're going to have to go back and do it anyhow, because that's where you gloss over the steps, right? The steps is as deep as you want to go. Now, what happens now is that this loving and caring God loves each and every one of us and has the wisdom to know not to ask us to love back. There's nothing in the steps that say to love God back now, because we don't have the ability. At step 3, I only knew how to use and abuse still. And I only used people, places, things, and events to fix me. And it was more like fix me, fix me, fix me, fuck me. Because I didn't know. I didn't know. To me, love was some type of distorted sexual practice, right? That I looked to make me feel good. But when I was out there, I didn't care about it. I really didn't care. If I had a choice between getting high or getting laid, there was no choice. There just was no choice. So what happens is, you come to believe in something, you admit all your stuff, you feel all this void, you believe in something that's going to work, right? And you want it to work, right? And that's where the belief system gets stronger. When you want it to work, it'll get stronger, right? So then you come to this point where you're believing in it, and now you're making a decision. You're making a decision to have God, like even in the simplest form, be a babysitter. Just like if you're a parent and you give your kid to a babysitter, you're turning that kid's life and care over to the care of a babysitter. So it's the same thing when we come in here. We turn it over to this something that we believe in. We believe because we want to believe. The only reason that I believe in God is that I would rather live my life and believe in God, and when I died find out that there wasn't one, than to live my whole life and not believe in God, and when I died find out that there was one all along. That's why I believe in God. I don't want to get caught no more. Maybe immature, but that's me. That's how I believe, and that's why I believe. So what happens is, then we do the inventory and we do it with a sponsor. I mean, I can't see taking my stuff and building a trusted relationship with anybody else. I'm not going to take it to a psychiatrist. I'm not going to a counselor. I'm working with a sponsor. One sponsor, an NA sponsor. I don't need to tell you that I only go to NA, do I? Yeah. I do? Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I do. I only go to NA. I only have an NA sponsor who got an NA sponsor who got an NA sponsor, and I got no problem grilling my sponsor about his sponsor. Because I want my stuff right. See, I believe in Narcotics Anonymous so much. I bet my life, I've never been anywhere else in 20-some years. Before we had a basic text, before we had all we had was the therapeutic value of one addict helping another. I bet everything that I had, I put it all on the crap table and said, this is it. Either this is going to work, I'm going crazy, I'm going back to prison. Doesn't matter, because they're both the same. This is going to work, and I believe that this loving and caring God showed me that Narcotics Anonymous was the way for me, because he believed that this is the best way that I could help somebody. And that's the only reason I'm here. I'm not here for me. I'm not here to have like, when I came here, I wanted to harem a women. I wanted to win the lottery. I wanted a long car. I wanted the long shoes that curled up. I wanted a hat. I wanted like all these things, because now that I'm in recovery, I want mine. Right? I want my piece of the pie. So what happened, before I even got into any of this stuff, because I did like an about face at step 4, right? Because I ain't like, stuff's going to the grave with me. We ain't getting up off of it. So let's get into let's practice, right? Money, property, and prestige. I fucked as much as I could, right? As much as I could. I tried to make as much money as I could. I held every service position that I could hold, trying to like make me somebody. I wanted to be somebody. You got to understand this. After you get some time in here and you're starting to feel bad, your defects are quick to wrap around you and make you so tight, because you want to be somebody. You want to be loved. You want to be able to love somebody. You want that intimacy that you got no fucking clue what's going on. And you're afraid to ask somebody because you're acting like you're somebody that you know what's going on. This is where time hurts people. So what happened is, I got into all this stuff, and then finally, when the pain was bad enough, what I got to do? I've never been one of them addicts that says, okay, Spons, let's go through the steps again so that I can prevent myself from being in pain down the road. If I'm a day without pain, I'm thinking it's going to last forever. I don't know. I don't know about anybody else, but if I'm not in pain for a day, I'm living the program. The absence of pain, because I'm the quickest person I know to be a victim of my own creation. And that's what happens with the steps. So what I found was that when the pain got great enough and outweighed the pleasure of what I was trying to do, it was time for me to like run back to the program and run back to the steps. Because if you're in a relationship with somebody, right? And you're with somebody else that you know you shouldn't be with, right? But you ain't through with it yet. And you're going to meetings and have the wisdom to know the difference that it's dead wrong, right? And you're walking around like a... If they don't see me, they won't know what's going on, right? What happens is your defects start to get all in your life. They stop you from loving yourself. They stop you from loving anybody else. Because they talk about the drain. You can just watch all the compassion, all the caring, all the want-to sharing, all the willingness, every spiritual principle. Watch it go down the drain, because that's what it does. It drains. It goes right the fuck out of sight. Now, what happens is something needs to happen. This is where the steps, I believe, is a miracle, right? And I'm not just talking about if you're fucking somebody you shouldn't be. Do it in Narcotics Anonymous, all right? All right, keep it in the room. If you're doing it, keep coming back and do it. God damn it. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it here. I don't care if you're gambling. I don't care if you're fucking somebody. I don't care if you're stealing. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. I've done it all. I've been to jail for all of it. In recovery. So please, if you're doing it, do it in NA. Do it at the meeting. Go there. Raise your fucking hand and say, this is what I'm doing. Now, I know you ain't got the fucking balls to do that. You're crazy. But just keep coming around and let us love you till you can get better. I had to keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. And I would tell my sponsor, I know he's going to tell me he's not sponsoring me anymore if I tell him this. If I lay this shit on my sponsor, he's through. So before I could talk about it at a group level, I had to call my sponsor up and say, you know, and I would like talk for a half an hour. What, you thought I was going to give something up? Huh? I told you, I ain't going to do none of that at the expense of nobody else. If anybody got any questions about me, ask Dino, right? What are you laughing at, Tony? Ask Tony. That's history. When you build history with people, God damn it, your shit's going to come out. I don't care who you are. Unless you're that good. I mean, you know, they come in here and they say we try to hide, you know, our ugly characteristics, you know, so people won't know about them or we deny them. This is my story. This is what happened to me. I have never been able, and this is probably why I never did step 6 and 7, because I like being a sneak. I like being a sneak. I like being able to share clean and live dirty. I like that. I got a disease that tells me it's all about getting over. It's all about holding back 10%. It's all about not giving it all up, goddammit. You ain't crazy, are you? Especially at a meeting, it's hard enough with a sponsor. But every time that I went to my sponsor and I knew that he was going to get rid of me, he said, I love you. I really love you. Come here, let me give you a hug. And I'm going like, because I don't feel worthy. I don't deserve it. Don't you know that my whole life, and I'm telling this to my sponsor like he don't fucking know, right? Don't you know my whole life I've been a bad person and I have behavior today that justifies me being a bad person? Don't you know what I'm thinking? I wanted to beat my sponsor's wife up. Now check this out. This is the truth. I wanted to beat the balls off of her, right? Because she's coming on with this like, don't you know this, and this is how it is, and this is how it is, and I felt like a little baby, and I just felt like if I whooped up on her real good, right, she would shut the fuck up. Now, I'm back at the house with my sponsor, and I saw the blood all over the window, and all this. I mean, I took that fantasy to where she was really shut up, right? And now I got to go back and pretend like I just wasn't thinking that, right? And I told him. I said, you know, I want to whip Sydney's ass. And then I told Sydney, because what it is that we hold on to stuff, right? And we only get as sick as our secrets. And not that that's a secret, but I want to have an honest thing with my sponsor. You know, I don't want to come into the program of Narcotics Anonymous and live and be a phony. So, you know, what my sponsor is to me, he's like many things. He's a father, a brother, a friend. He's a confidant. I ain't had sex with him, so I ain't a lover, but I mean, we're about as tight as you can get. Do you know what I mean? With like just coming true. And what happened is, after I did my 5th step with him, and we learned about the exact nature, because he would ask me questions right in the middle of me doing my 5th step. I'm saying like, let me finish. But that's how we got to the exact nature of what my wrongs was. So, knowing that I had all this going into the step 6, right? He told me this. He said, now I want you to go into the bathroom across all. We're in the VA hospital out in California with all these fucking whacked out Vietnam nuts, right? He was in charge of them. They were so crazy. Because when I was put away in like mental places, I used to like to watch people, right? I got off on like watching the nuts. Do you know what I mean? You know, the fucking slippers and stuff. And the guy is so fucking thoracined up, his robe's open, his ass is hanging out. He's walking down the hallway, and everybody's looking. Look, if you're in the hospital and somebody's robe is open on the back, I don't care if it's man, woman, what, you're looking. You're going to look. You're looking. I don't know why, you got to look. So anyhow, he told me to go over and pray. So I'm on my knees in this bathroom, right in the middle of the bathroom, because I just went in and did what he said. I went in and I'm praying to God to remove these defects of character. Well, this big, bald-headed motherfucker walks in on me, right? Now I'm on my knees in the bathroom, right? I knew to get the fuck up out of there as fast as I could. As fast as I go. What's he thinking? I'm on my knees in the bathroom waiting for somebody? Huh? What, waiting? Oh. So my first attempt at doing what my sponsor said with step 6 was aborted because I'm thinking like, this guy thinks that I'm in here waiting to give this guy a blowjob, right? And I really didn't, but it really did look like that, right? So I had to like scramble, get out of there, right, and come out like. Everything was cool, and I went in and I told my sponsor, I said, yeah, but this guy walked in on me, and I kind of like stopped praying, and he says, all right. So he says, I want you to write on your defects of character. I didn't think I had any. Now check this out. I thought that I came in like this leftover hippie, right? That just loved shooting dope. I didn't just, let me tell you something, it wasn't just about the drugs. It wasn't. I loved everything about it. I loved copping. And God damn it, I was somebody when I was copping. I was somebody. When I was going, I had a purpose in life. I didn't know what my purpose in Narcotics Anonymous was for a lot of years, but I knew when I was going to I was somebody. And you could take my drugs, but goddamn it, I was somebody at that moment. And that's all that mattered. That's all I had going for me. So he said to write on these steps. Step 6. What did I write about? I really ain't got no defects because I'm kind of happy with the way things are going. I ended up writing on step 6 for 3 years. And I tore apart this step. Now what happened with me, I thought that the words entirely ready was some, you know, like, there's a word in the beginning of the basic text, and I thought, no, wait a minute, it has something to do with esoteric. Esoteric, that's the fucking word. I didn't know what it meant, but I thought that the words entirely ready was the esoteric meaning of the program. And that if you counted all the words this way and all the words this way, entirely ready was going to be the exact middle of the program. Well, I'm just crazy because it ain't in the middle. But that's where I was. Now this is with 12 years clean, right? Now, I got 12 years clean. I still have a gun, right? Fear, full of fear. And it wasn't just that it's better to be caught with it than without it. I was scared. So, here I am, having all this clean time in Narcotics Anonymous, going to meetings, sharing clean, living dirty. Every night. Every fucking night. And I'm writing, and it's starting to make sense to me, but what happened to me, I don't know about you, this is me, and fuck it, I'm up here anyhow, not you. When I started writing, my shit started going crazy. When I started writing, I say no lie, I got worse when I was writing on step 6. Mine got worse. The fear seemed to like get bigger, right? And what happened, I saw the attitudes and behavior patterns. This is what step 6 can do. Step 5 carries you into step 6. But what happens, we begin to track through the steps our attitudes and behaviors that have become destructive. Now what happened with me? I'm going on and going on and going on, and all of a sudden, why am I lonely? I got fucking 12 years clean. Why am I lonely? I'm married. Why am I fucking lonely? Why don't I want to fucking be with my kids? Why don't I want to fucking spend quality time? Because I'm so fucking self-centered I can't see it. And now it's all about me. How? How did I get like that? I'm an addict. It ain't how I got like that. I'm an addict. That's part of the disease. But what do I do about it? I didn't know. And I had too much pride to ask for help. And if you don't have 12 years clean, wait till you get it, and you count how many times you go to a fucking meeting and raise your hand and ask for help. It doesn't happen that much. You look for opportunities when somebody says, can I talk to you? Yes. Oh, good, I don't have to talk in this meeting. Yes, 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 yes. So what happened is I started to unravel. You know, like they say that you peel the layers of an onion off. Well, when I started writing, a domino theory started to happen. I saw that fear was all across the board. Now, where I grew up, if you got fear, you're a punk. I ain't writing this. I ain't gonna tell this man I'm a punk. He knows it, but I'm not gonna tell it. This is what's so fucking crazy. I know he knows it. I don't have the emotional courage. Not just to tell him, to write it on fucking paper. Why? Why? Fear. Fear of what? Whoa, key word. Key fucking word in step 6. Fear of what might happen. Not of what's going to happen. What might. Most of my defects of character after I've been in the room is because of what might happen, because of what goes on between my ears. I'm going to go out and fuck somebody strange because my old lady might go out and do it. I'm going to get there first. I'm going to go out and I'm going to lose all my money gambling because I might never get the chance again. One last fling. I might want to go steal something. And I did this. I stole a carton of cigarettes. Check this out. Just to see if I could do it. It was May 1st, 1985. Never forget the day. You want to hear about spiritual reciprocity? I cut my foot off with a chainsaw that afternoon. So what happens may not come back is like somebody going to steal a carton of cigarettes from me. I cut my fucking foot off. And I knew that it was because I stole a carton of cigarettes. And I'm in the hospital and the doctor says what happened and I just can't tell him I stole a carton of cigarettes. But that's the spiritual reciprocity, and it says we need to take responsibility for our action. Now, what happens is, I'm quick to blame everybody else. I don't want to take responsibility for nothing, and I don't want to hear shit about nothing, even today. Because either I'm right or we're not going to talk about it. That's a defect. That's a defect. So what happens is, with this whole thing, is that when I began to uncover the attitudes and behaviors that led to destructive thinking and destructive actions, my shit went crazy. I'm talking about acting out like I had never acted out in my life. Now, not only do I have more clean time than most, but I'm trying to put shade on it because I'm starting to become ashamed and I'm getting more lonely by the more I'm acting out. And I couldn't help it. I would go to meetings, I swear to God, and talk as honestly as I could about what was going on in my life. And I remember we used to have this meeting with no time limit on it. And I would go there and I would be as honest as I could. I would leave the meeting and do the exact same thing that I just talked about it. For months. No defense against it. And now, this is where I'm saying, I know I'm nuts. I know that the program may be good for some people, but I got like really, really crazy. And I can't stop, and I can't stop what I'm doing. You know, why is this happening? What is wrong with me? I've held every service position from a GSR to the Board of Trustees. I've sponsored a lot of people. I'm willing to do anything. I'll open my house up like a Father Flanagan. Why is all this stuff happening to me? A lot of reasons. But the main one was that I wasn't thorough with the steps. If you aren't thorough with these steps, they're going to come back and haunt you. And they're going to keep coming back and haunt you. And keep coming. But I didn't know. And like I said, I had all this pride and all this ego and all this fucking time that I couldn't ask for help. I would go to me and I asked this one fucking guy, this is what happened, I'll tell you the truth. I asked this guy, he was a doctor. And he was the only other guy that I knew that had 4 kids, because I had 4 kids in recovery. And I go to this guy, and I lay all this heavy shit on him. And I go, what do you think? And he says, well, I look to you for advice. I don't know what to tell you. Fuck it, I ain't telling nobody else nothing. That's what happened. And I figured that this guy And that's why I felt comfortable with newcomers. I got a sick dependency built up with newcomers because they just love me. Do you understand? They didn't have the wisdom to judge. They were just grateful to be around. What happens after we get here for a while, people fucking lose that and want to be somebody and think that they got something going on and they're going to pass some kind of fucking judgment. Fuck you! Judge me? Fuck you! Nobody. I'll tell you what the fuck's going on. I ain't going to give you the power. I'll tell you. Ask me, motherfucker. I'll tell you. You can't judge me. You think you can? Go on with it. Run your fucking little petty-ass gossip fucking game. The program says took your inventory, not mine. So when you're taking mine, you ain't working the program. So don't come off like you are, bitch. So what it is when I learned about all this stuff through my writing, nobody pushed the pen but me. I saw the scumbag I was in recovery. That I would fuck anything that walked. No, that smiled at me. Fuck walking. They didn't have to walk. Just smile at me. I was so fucking lonely not to smile. I'll move in. My sponsor told me, look, I was breaking up and I was going through this divorce. My sponsor said, let it go. I'm going to tell you what, with 10, 11 years clean, the best that I could do to let it go. I built a 3-story treehouse behind my house. I built a 3-story treehouse. I told all the neighbors, aren't I a good father, building this treehouse for my kids. Every night after that treehouse was done, I was up on the 3rd floor of that treehouse spying on my ex. That's how I had the ability to let it go. Fear? Yeah, fear what? Fear what might happen if I knew the truth. And I'm the type of person I would deny the existence of a loving God and deny the existence of a truth so that I could act out my defects. Now, here we go on with step 6. Once you come out of denial, you can't ever go back. Once you're into some kind of stuff that you think you got to put shade on, once you take it out of the darkness and into the light, it don't ever go back. It just doesn't fit anymore. And it's either going to choke you, take you out the doors, or you're going to surrender to it. Now, what's the process that has to happen? We admit. We believe we're going to be okay. We've already got God in our lives. We already have a trusting relationship with a sponsor, so it's okay to talk about it. The more we talk about it, we may not get our answers, but we get a little emotional tough with it. And we need a little emotional toughness because we're so fucking wishy-washy, even with time in the rooms, right? We start to get a little emotional courage, right? These are things that we never knew about because all we did was react. All I ever did was react. And I'm gonna tell you what, if reacting didn't work, I could just go to jail. That worked. Because if I'm in jail, I ain't hurting nobody. I knew that. So, being a punk at life, not having any clue of how to live life on life's terms, even after I came into the rooms, wanting to be somebody, wanting you to love me, but for a long time I wanted you to love me the way I wanted you to love me. I had conditions on everything because I didn't know about unconditional love. I didn't know that the essence of the steps is just to love people where they're at, not where we want them to be. I didn't know because I hadn't been there. And there hadn't been nobody else in front of me to tell me that. Something for me to hold on to. So when I would go into this thing with step 6, and I wrote, my biggest defect of character has always been overcompensation because I would do anything for you to like me. Anything. And if that didn't work, I could get put away because I had friends that were put away, that they had no place to go. We had the common bond. The common bond in here is pain. The common bond in there is you ain't getting out. So that was the unwritten bravado that I lived by after I came in here. I I didn't know nothing about pain. All I did was do drugs to move the pain. After I came in here, I didn't work the program so that I could move the pain. Fixes work for a while. Then they stop working, and all we're left with is ourselves. My life is this. I built up my outside world so that you could look at me for what I had or what I was wearing or how I walked and talked. I would never let you inside to see the real scumbag that was happening, that was lonely all the time. Not some of the time, all the time. That was scared, that felt inadequate, that felt insecure, that believed that he knew he couldn't cut it on the streets, that knew that. That was me. And I was always acting out in things that I might do because of fear of what might happen. So what happened is that this loving God has kept me around. Believe me, I didn't want to live. I didn't want to use, but I didn't want to live. I didn't know how to live, and I couldn't die. This was in the rooms. So I changed my defects plenty of times. It never works. It wasn't until I was so sick and disgusted of what I was doing that, please, God, I hope there's a God. Please, God, are you still? Please, take this pain away. And that is where I humbly ask God to remove whatever shortcomings. Because to me, a defective character is like a car with 4 flat tires and the shortcomings trying to drive it. So what happened with me is that I knew that I was messed up, but I kept on keeping on because I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how to stop, and I didn't know how to surrender. What happens is the gift. The gift is this, is that once we go back and see the understanding that we have in the steps, we've already admitted that we couldn't handle drugs, the greatest thing in our life. We started to believe in something. We have a belief system. We never believed in anything. These miracles have already happened in earlier steps. We have been able to make a decision that, hey, we want to be right with God instead of wrong. Those things have already happened before we get to step 6 and 7. So it's not that big of a deal. But what it is that we need to talk about them. We need to talk about what's going on. The hardest thing for me to do was to have somebody judge me. But when the pain outweighs the pleasure, you're going for it. And the biggest thing with me is that, I didn't want to come into Narcotics Anonymous, be here for a long time, and have somebody up and call me a phony. Let me tell you something. When you got some time in this room, if you know that your next day is going to be your last day on earth, the way you want to go out is respect. That's all. They may not like you. They may not have nothing for you. That's the way you want to go out. After putting double-digit years in these rooms, if the way to go out is with respect. I don't want to go out like a punk. So what it is that for me, I needed to be honest about all of this stuff. I don't have a whole lot of drama going on in my life. And if I do today, I create it out of my temper tantrums because things ain't happening the way I want. I still am a perfectionist. I don't really overcompensate too much stuff because if I don't want to go to the store for you, I ain't. And my thing today is that people that matter don't care, and the people that don't care don't matter. I like Narcotics Anonymous more than I like any person in this room. That's the principle before the personality. I love everybody in here. I love everybody, and I don't even know you. I don't even know you, but I know this, that I needed to put Narcotics Anonymous first in my life, above my kids, above my wife, above my job, above everything else. Because I would always get it mixed up with fixes. Because, see, I could fix on a wife, I could fix on being a kid, I could hide behind my kids, I could hide behind a job, I could hide behind all this stuff. The way that I want to be, I just want to be a stand-up NA dude. That's it. That's it. For me to work the steps of my life isn't the easiest thing. But I got to tell you this, through sponsoring people, that has kept me in touch with what's going on. When they talk about their stuff, it recreates stuff with me. And I'm going wow. And then you share. It's that sharing. Sponsorship has a lot to do with how I work step 6 and 7 today. It's not about going to a meeting and dumping it all. It's not about coming to a podium and dumping it all. It's about the process. That's the process that happened to me. And I know this, that when I humbly ask God to remove whatever is going on, the pain always lessens. Now, I used to shoot dope to move the pain. The way that I live my life today, I work the program to move the pain. I do not work the program. Now listen to me close. I got 22 years clean. I do not work the program in Narcotics Anonymous until I'm in some type of pain. When I got drama going on in my life and I can't pay the bills and I got shut off notices for that, God is the last person I call on. I don't know why. I hear all these people with a lot less time than me saying, yeah, it's God and this and God. I'm kind of like, either they're full of shit or they got something that I don't know about. And a lot of it is they got something that I don't know about because they're taught differently. They got literature. We didn't have literature. They got a lot of stuff. They got a lot of things that I mean, there's more people in this room than there was in NA for the first 5 years I was around. I mean, if everybody in NA came to a convention, it wouldn't be this big back then. So, I mean, what we had to work with is a lot different. And there's a lot more information. There's a lot more knowledge. There's a lot more stuff that we have going on to help us through this process. And I know this with me. I'm going to wrap this up. The worst things that I've done in these rooms ain't a big deal. To me, they're not a big deal. I don't take myself serious. I take the program of Narcotics Anonymous here. What is a big deal for me is when I'm talking to my sponsor and I can't get honest. I know something's wrong. Because for the last 13 years, I've had the same sponsor and I built a very trusting relationship. If there's some drama going on in my life and I cannot talk to this man, something is very, very wrong. I better get with God and I better keep doing what I'm doing so that I'll be back here tomorrow, because you cannot stay clean on yesterday's program. Yeah. I can tell you that, and there's more and more people with time going out to justify that. And I don't want to be a number. I don't want to be. Remember that fucking nut Dutch? He died. He OD'd. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to go out like that. You know, I have my most precious possession today is my membership in Narcotics Anonymous. And whatever I need to do to stay here, I hope that I have whatever it takes to keep doing that. That is really my only prayer that I say to God. Because I know that all the other stuff will come if it's supposed to. And if it ain't, God will take it away. Because if you put anything before God, He'll snatch it away from you. Just to let you know that the road to all of that is to God first. That you can't love another human being till you love God first. You may think you can, and everybody that's in a relationship right now, before you've gone through step 6 and 7, I feel bad for you. Because you're going to go through some pain. You're going to go through it, and you can't help it. Because until you get that understanding and that surrender of what's going on to the destructive behavior patterns in your life present today, because you weren't able to drop the bags at the front door when you came in, what you need to do is to relearn it. And that's my biggest problem, is for me to be able to keep listening, taking direction, and remaining teachable. But I've been able to do it because there's a big upswing in people wanting to get better now in Narcotics Anonymous, it seems. People are going to the meetings more than the dances. It didn't used to be like that. You know, they're hitting the step meetings. You know, they're reading the literature. They're going and going and going. And because they're getting better, I want to get better. Blow me. You know what? This says shut the fuck up, right? Wait, I'm a well, no, wait. See that? Now, I want to react, and I want to embarrass the fuck out of this guy right here, because this is how I'm treated by the fucking program committee of Northern New Jersey. Shut the fuck up! Thank you, I'm an out-of-game Dutch!